Family, what's going on? Peace. Give everybody a few minutes to hop on. Welcome to today's FICO Friday. Peace. What's going on? Today is February 8th, 2019, Black History Month. King Justice, what's going on? Hey, I sent out a message on the last FICO Friday to any black-owned business. Make sure you send us that information. I want to shout you out, and we salute you. Again, welcome, Mr. Will Roundtree page, J. Morrison Academy page. Welcome to today's FICO Friday. Like I mentioned, this is one of my favorite days of the week, Fridays, because one, I get to break bread with you guys and share this knowledge and information. We are not going to be recording this one. It will be up live on IG for 24 hours, but I will see if I can take it and upload it to YouTube from my phone. I'm actually out of town in New York. I'll be speaking at an event this weekend, so I don't have my videographer here with me. But for those who don't know me, my name is Will Roundtree. I'm a president and owner of We Management Services, president, co-founder of Easy Funding, author of the book Credit is King, credit mastery instructor for the J. Morrison Academy. I do own a credit education company. I am FICO certified, so I've been in this industry for well over 10 plus years. I've went through the process myself, and my goal and the reason I got into credit is really just to educate people. I mean, I merely started this journey and this quest as a need for myself. King Brian, what's going on out there? I merely started this quest and this journey really just as a need for myself. I shared my story a while back, moved to Vegas in 2005, quickly found out why credit was so important. And I always like to share this story because I meet so many people who, say that, well, my credit's so bad, I don't care, and all these cliches. I'm assuming that's supposed to be funny and cute. But the thing that I tell people is that, imagine wanting to move somewhere and you don't know anyone and you can't rent an apartment. You don't have a vehicle and you don't have a car, or you need to call home and ask, friends and family, and you begging people for a cosigner, and I just got tired of that life. I was 26 years old, contemplating whether I should call back to ask my parents to co-sign for a vehicle for me. But here I am calling myself a man. And so that's why I took it upon myself to learn about credit, because prior to moving to Las Vegas, my mentor, he dropped a phrase on me, didn't know what he meant at that time. But when I moved to Las Vegas, I kind of started to understand what he meant by that. And he said, well, eventually credit is going to become the new dollar. And so again, I was oblivious to it. I had gotten credit cards in my younger age, blowing the money on the credit cards, going shopping, all of the foolishness that, we did in our 20s. But that's because I wasn't educated and I didn't have anyone mentoring or sharing this type of knowledge and game with me. And that's why I share this information, because I want, that, person who's getting ready to go to college to understand this information about credit. And understand not to take your credit for granted, because as you get older, it will have drastic impact on your quality of living. Having bad credit is brutally expensive because, again, I was able to get a vehicle, but my interest rate was 29%. And then as a result of my interest rate being so high, my car note was so high. And then the end result of that is I couldn't afford the vehicle. So the end result of that is the vehicle ended up being repossessed. So it was just a trickle down effect of everything. The apartment that I, wanted to rent, or that I did end up renting at that time, I had to put down double the security deposit, and I had to scrape that together. So just understanding that credit is so much more than just, appreciate that. Thank you for purchasing a book. It's so much more than what we've been brainwashed and bamboozled to think what credit is. I'm going to continue to share this information, no matter how repetitive this may sound to some of us, because some of us need to hear this weekly, and this is my way of also reminding myself of why credit is so important. Just like we go to church to be spiritually fed, it's the same message, but, the message is to get us, that spiritual healing that we may need. We may have had a rough week. And so I'm hoping by doing these FICO Fridays is to help you guys get through your financial spirituality, or whatever we may look at it as. And also, too, just sometimes it may take a message 3 to 5 times before it falls on deaf ears. They say, especially in business, and for those who don't know, I have a very extensive background in phone sales. Did telephone sales for about 8 plus years while I was working on my business, might I add. And they said, a phrase that one of my mentors taught me. He said, your fortune is in a follow-up. But you have to follow up an average of 5 to 7 times before you get someone to say yes. So understand, for a lot of you individuals who are going through and building your businesses and you're in sales, understand, if somebody tells you no, that just means not right now. If someone has objections, that's usually one or two things. One is you haven't fully confidently articulated and been able to answer all of the questions that they may have, and they just may not be asking you the question. Or two, they don't have the money for your services. So their auto trigger of objection is going to be, oh, well, let me think about it. Oh, well, let me go to your website. Oh, let me talk to, my best friend, or let me do some research. Those are all autoresponders. Those are all autoresponder, objections, meaning that they just haven't done their due diligence, or again, they probably don't have it within their budget, or two, or thirdly, like I mentioned, you just haven't, answered all of their questions. And so I share this message multiple times because it may take that 7th time before the light bulb goes off on someone and be like, you know what, I got to get my credit right, or it become a pain point. See, that's the other thing too. And, I'm giving you guys a little bit of sales training and just business training on these FICO Fridays, and then I'll jump into the topic and then open it up for some Q&A. See, also understand that when you're dealing with individuals, again, mentioning about the fortune being in a follow-up, to understanding that, the average number of times it takes for you to reach out to someone, because you generally, like I said, 5 to 7 touches is what it's called. So a touch could be email, a drip campaign, a phone call, a follow-up, an email, having your sales team follow up with them. And so a lot of times we've gotten in scenarios or in industries where we go out, we go and ask our 3 closest individuals, maybe your parents, your spouse, and your relatives, and they all say no, and we think, oh my gosh, this doesn't work. I need to, quit my business, or whatever the case is. But understand, and I want everyone to listen really closely, most of your family will never spend a dime with you. And I'm going to repeat that again. Most of your family will never spend a dime with you in your business. And so once you get that over that hurdle, it makes going out there and thriving in your business that much simpler, because now you're not worried about dealing with individuals who are not going to spend money with you anyway. And so just understand that you just have to go through the motions. Again, I talked about it on another live that, it's an average of 10,000 hours before you even see any success in anything that you do. 10,000 hours. So if, an individual is coming to me and they say, hey, I've been working on something, and you're about 2 weeks in, come back to me when you get the other, 8,000 hours or whatever. Because just understand that, we have to stop wanting success when we're not even prepared if it was to smack us dead in the face anyway. And I say that because, and this is kind of going into the topic, funding for your business, if not when. We speak with a lot of individuals who get funded or who's gotten funded, but then they're like, okay, now they're scrambling, trying to hurry up and do something, but they didn't take the time to prepare themselves while they're going through the process. So understanding, and I tell everybody this, getting the money is the easiest thing right now. Absolutely. Microwave success. We can't want microwave success. Getting the money is the easiest part. But what are we doing to prepare? are you preparing yourself to learn more about your craft? You know, if you want to be a real estate investor and you watch one YouTube video, odds are you're probably not going to have as much success. Can you have success going that route? Absolutely. But your ceiling is going to be capped, because most successful people, training is ongoing. You know, you're always constantly training. You're always constantly sharpening your axe. You know, I always say, if you have 4 hours to chop down a tree, you need to spend 3 hours sharpening that axe. And King Robert, what's going on? And understanding that, you know, sometimes that sharpening of the axe is the most boring part of the journey, but we have to go through that. And so I just want to, you know, just convey that, and I hope you guys can see that I do get passionate about it, because every time that I'm sharing this information with you, all I'm doing is reliving everything that I've been through and trying to convey to you that, yes, it's going to be hard. It's supposed to be. Yes, it's going to be upset. It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be simple. If it was simple, everybody would do it. But then also, too, we have to understand that your money can't be the ultimate motivator. Because if money motivated everyone, we would all be rich. We would all be wealthy. But that's not the case. So that's why you have to make sure that you not only are doing it, you know, now I'm not going to say that money isn't a good thing for what you're trying to accomplish, because I believe that money ranks right up there with oxygen. So for those who say money isn't everything, that's totally true and totally false, because it ranks right up there with oxygen. But more importantly, it's about what the money can do for you. You know, it's what it can do for you by being able to have your family living in a better zip code, being able to send your kids to you know, what some may deem as better schools, being able to, you know, help take care of a loved one who may be sick or ill, or, you know, help whatever the case is, you know. And so just understand, when going through success, you have to go through these obstacles, and we got to stop wanting everything done right away. You know, even from a credit repair standpoint, we get individuals that come to us, you know, have challenged credit, and they're mad when they don't see results in 60 days. And again, that's because they're trying to compare their chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 7 or their chapter 10. And I have to tell people sometimes, look, you don't know what that person went through. You don't know how long this person has been working on their journey. You don't know what steps they took to prepare themselves to even go through credit repair prior to them even going through the process. So we have to stop looking through other people's glass house, and we need to just focus on our own, worry about, you know, bettering ourselves. And then, like I say, going through the proper preparation. Absolutely. Nothing worth having comes easy. You know, always, you know, share the analogy. You know, we can't eat crappy food all year long. You know, set a New Year's resolution to go to the gym January 1st and mad because we don't have abs February 1st. And then we say the gym don't work. You know, so we have to understand things take time. We have to detox our minds. Think about all of the negativity that you've had, let's just say as far as being an adult. Think about all the negativity that we've been programmed to think over our years, even just starting off from a teenager. You know, think about all the no's that we've heard, NOs and no's. Think about all the rejection we've had. Think about the upsets we had, the obstacles we may have overcome, the family issues, you know, just the oppression of, you know, being black in America. I mean, all these different things heavily weigh on us. So the Jay Morrison page, let me know if y'all can't hear me. Somebody said that they can't hear. You know, so we have to detox our bodies and spiritually detox so that we can go out there and find our purpose. Because I always tell people that, you know, once you find something you're passionate about, an opportunity will create itself. So no matter how minute you may think what your passion is, you just have to go out there and do it to the best of your ability. Provide a need in the marketplace, because again, that's how people create niches to where they become wealthy. They provide a need in the marketplace. And then not only that, you have to make your focus to be able to go out there and help as many people as you can. Because as long as you help and bless others, you'll be blessed beyond measures. And so that's the thing that I'm always encouraging entrepreneurs. business individuals. When someone sits down with me and they're a one-on-one person, myself, my team, we have a much more of a methodical approach because our focus is to reprogram your mental, because the how-tos are easy. And again, that also goes back to just understanding that if money was the ultimate motivator, everybody would be rich. Well, if the how-tos were, if it was only the how-tos that created wealth, everybody would be wealthy. But it's not. And that's why they say those who know how work for those that know why. So having your why is extremely important. Now, granted, your goals is one thing, but then what's your why? Your why needs to keep you up at night. Your why needs to drive you to a point to where you're willing to make sacrifices because you're not living the way you want to live. If you watch TV, 8-9 hours a day and you're not where you need to be in life, well, maybe you need to cut the television off. Maybe you just need to cancel your subscription to whatever it is, unplug the box. I can remember, for years I didn't even own a television. And it was because I wanted to mentally detox and work on me, on who I was, because at one point I was in such a very dark place when I moved to Las Vegas. And so just understanding that, again, I share all of these things just because I know what y'all are going through. I've been there. I'm still a work in progress. So this is kind of a part of my therapy. My FICO Fridays and when I do my talks usually is the most talking and speaking that I do, because naturally I'm a very, introverted person. But when it comes to business, I'm just very passionate. I'm passionate about giving back, and I'm passionate about working with you guys. Linda, that coaching call was supposed to get rescheduled. So I have Daniel reach back out to you and get you scheduled, because I am out in New York and it got scheduled right before FICO Friday. But we'll get back with you, Linda. So we apologize if he didn't communicate that with you. So family, so jumping into today's topic, funding for your business. If not now, when? Now, so I was speaking with some buddies of mine back in Milwaukee the other day, and we were just talking about how just is kind of this whole new resurgence of, people in entrepreneurship just constantly, moving forward. Entrepreneurship is a very hot topic. Business. I mean, it's just dope to see a lot of us wanting more out of life, is basically what I'm trying to say. And so he was sitting there and sharing with me, because I've helped not only him get funding and, some of other things that he's been able to do and work with hitting his team. But, one of the things that he was able to do is he had to use his funding to be able to help his dad, who, because he's not a U.S. citizen, his dad has to get medical care, but it won't be covered by any facility because he's not a U.S. citizen. And so he sacrificed his funding to be able to help him pay for his medical bills. That's why I do what I do. That's why my team and our company, our organization, and that's why I say it's so much more than just being able to fund your business or be able to, get a credit card or buy a house. But that's neither here nor there. But the thing that he said that really stuck out is he was like, Will, do you know that essentially what you guys have been doing is giving people the ability to fund their idea? Think about that. A lot of us have had so many ideas over the years, and we have not, prior to now, not had the ability to go out there and put that idea to fruition. Or, we're looking to find this, magical pixie dust angel investor, which they don't exist. I always tell people investors only invest in things that are investable and usually are already making money in a proven concept. And so understand, we have the ability to go out there and do whatever it is we want to do, because being able to go and get access to any form of capital. So we have to, it's not even just about having quote unquote business credit. It's about just having access to capital. See, that's the thing we also need to understand. Wealthy people understand that, I just need the capital and I'm going to make it work, because while I'm getting in positioning myself to get this capital, I'm going to hone my craft and work on my craft. So when I do get the capital, I can go out there and flip it and put it in different positions for it to be able to recoup and make my money back. And so I say to all of those, if you still have ideas, if you still want to be that real estate investor, even if you're a wholesaler, you need to be going through funding. Because think about all of the properties that you're passing up and you're selling to individuals for a percentage of the profit. Why not be in position to just buy the property yourself and then flip it to the investor and you make all of the profit? What about those who, want to be able to open up that home health care facility? What about those who want to, open up that music studio? You want to start that new transportation company. You want to get a fleet of vehicles and you rent them to the Uber drivers. Yes. Did you know, I was speaking with a good friend of mine and he was telling me, he said, I was renting a vehicle to do Uber and I was paying about $300 a week. The light bulb in my head went off. I'm like, how come we can't do that ourselves? So it's never a shortage of trying to make money. We just don't have the proper strategies, and we have to stop thinking so linear. And so if you haven't put yourself in position to get funding, I want to ask you to ask yourself, why not? What is your excuse? My mentor used to tell me, well, you can make money or you can make excuses, but you can't do both, And then when I would come to him with an objection, or he would call it an excuse, he would say, well, you know what? Don't ever come to me with an excuse. But anytime you do have an excuse, I want you to say, you know what? Peanut butter. I ran out of peanut butter. And I was like, what does that mean? He was like, that means that any of your BS excuses, it's all the same. So instead of just feeding me some BS excuse, just say I ran out of peanut butter. And, we laughed and joked about it, but I understood where he was coming from. See, a lot of times we talk ourselves out of success. And so if you're not positioning yourself to, and I'll get to your question, Reggie, about bankruptcy. If you're not positioning yourself to go out there and find and create opportunities, you cheating yourself, you cheating your family, you cheating your loved ones. There should never be an excuse for us not to have. We just have to find the strategies and what are we willing to sacrifice. So yes, credit could play a role in that, one of them being bankruptcy. But bankruptcies can be disputed and successfully removed off of credit reports. And even if you're going through that process of bankruptcy, what does your circle of influence look like? Look, if you have a group of individuals around you and they're not adding value to your life, you need to get rid of them. And I say that because why not put yourself and your individuals who you claim is your people in position, so that way, if you are in a scenario where you are going through repair because you got a bankruptcy or something happened and you had to file bankruptcy, which is nothing wrong with that. I just say bankruptcy is a form of asset protection. Why not go to your spouse or your parents or somebody and say, look, this is what I'm working on. I'm in preparation myself with my credit. Let us use and leverage your credit. Of course, you want to articulate it a little bit more eloquently than that. So that way we can put together this vision. Now, if somebody isn't willing to do that for you, then the thing you have to understand is that what is their perception of you? See, if somebody isn't willing to invest any money in you that knows you personally, sometimes it could be what your perception that you have kind of projected on those around you. Meaning, if you were a knucklehead, 5 years ago, that's probably who they remember you as. But what have you done to change that perception of you? Have you, started working on yourself? Have you started, and I'm not even one to feel that your dress dictates how people perceive you. But when it comes to business, people do sometimes. Trust me, I love to wear my sweats, my track suits, and my sneakers. But I do understand it's a time and place when I want someone to take me seriously. So, sometimes I do have to, be a chameleon in that particular scenario. But also understanding, I had to work on myself, which was a 10 plus year process for me to be able to let people know, like, look, this is really what I do and I'm serious. And so when I go to someone with a situation and scenario, or as we call it, a money play, they're going to take me a lot more serious. So again, that's when I talk about that preparation earlier in this, discussion. So funding for your business, if not now, when? When do we feel that, when are you going to get tired of being tired? And that's the thing I always tell people, that, understanding pain points. See, in business, how a lot of companies have been able to successfully market to people or individuals is they use pain points. And it's not a bad thing and it's not a good thing, but we have to understand sometimes we have to create a pain point in ourselves strong enough to force us to want to get out of our comfort zone. See, some of us have been so comfortable being mediocre that we scared to be successful. And when I say success, I don't mean in a monetary format. I mean, even just in a level of happiness, and so that's why I preach so heavily about getting out of our comfort zone. Like, doing FICO Fridays helped me to get out of my comfort zone, because again, I don't really like, to speak and talk and all of that, but it's something that I'm always constantly working on to become more of an effective speaker, to be able to communicate and articulate this information that it will hopefully touch one person out here. And if it's able to do so, then, I feel that I've done my job of using my talents of what God has blessed me with to be able to do and convey. And so, again, let's eliminate the excuses. Let's stock up our cabinets of peanut butter so we can never use that as an excuse again. And let's put ourselves in position to go out here and fund our dreams. Again, I always talk about, you want to become the architect of your own destiny, and so understanding that sometimes be careful what you wish for. And what I mean by that is, I was talking with an individual who was trying to find an investor for a concept that they had, and they eventually found someone who wanted to put some money up. But guess what? They wanted 65% of the business. Is it worth it? So now you've just mortgaged your potential livelihood, And again, I can speak to this because I was in this situation before. When I bought into my tax franchise, I remember getting one of the owners of the tax franchise to invest into one of my old credit repair businesses that didn't do anything, And so, because I was pitching from a place of desperation, just looking for anybody to throw me a lifeline instead of going out there creating my own opportunities, being the architect of my own destiny. This is why I know this stuff works. We did a contract where it was a 60-40 split, and they got 60%. So no matter how hard I worked, literally all I did was bought myself, he invested in me to be his employee, because they were getting a larger percentage for my intellectual concept, my intellectual information, my intellectual ideas, And so I told myself from that point, once we eventually got out of that contract, I will never mortgage my vision again. I will never mortgage, my legacy that I'm building for my family and my children's children. I'll never mortgage, what I'm passionate about. All they're looking at is dollar signs. And so understanding that, that's why, being able to finance and fund your own business, fund your own vision, fund your own dreams is so important. And so that's why I always say, if not now, when? Let's put ourselves in position. I'm not sure why the sound keeps cutting off on the JMA page. Everybody else is saying that they can hear me everywhere else. All right. Yeah, fresh out of peanut butter. That's a good one. And so I hope you guys have learned something in there. I'll open it up for some Q&A. I know I saw a couple questions come through, which I will try to get through all of them. Show the vision board. God said, let there be light. Yes, those vision boards really do help, man. I'm telling you. Like, I shared a story that, my wife and I was looking at some old pictures one day, and there was a picture we came across from 2009, and it was a vision board in the background. And on that vision board, everything that was on there had manifested 9 years later. And so, yes, it may not happen overnight, but is the thing, and I talked about this on a previous call, as long as you just stay in the fight, it's impossible not to win at something. And so having that vision board is really just a way for me to kind of hold myself accountable of what I said I wanted to do. One of the things that, I always used to do is I would, times when I felt like giving up, I had a piece of paper and I wrote on there, I gave up on my dreams because ... And I put that on there because, again, any excuse to do. So I couldn't look myself in the face, and I would stick this in my bathroom mirror and say, you know what? I gave up on my dreams because somebody told me no. That's the dumbest thing I could have done at that time, because and this is something I always share with a lot of individuals and in a joking manner. Look, when you're growing up and you're out there trying to play the dating game, female tell you no, do you stop trying to talk to whoever you're trying to talk to? And on the opposite side, so we have to stop making things when it comes to business so difficult. A lot of times you just have to go out there and be yourself and be resilient. It's some of us, we're more resilient in, picking the best fantasy football team, but we're not resilient when it comes to building our business. Like, we're more resilient and argue back and forth on who the hottest rapper, but, we're not resilient when it comes to building our business. So we got more passion sometimes about the wrong things that bring no value. We big up people who aren't investing or pouring back into us, bragging about what they got, when we should be bragging about our circle. You know what, man, my partner, he just closed on this 5-unit building, and, we all contributed, and we was able to, come together and buy this building together. You know what, all of us just went and got Rolexes. All of us, just poured into this new nonprofit, and we're going to be able to go out into the community, so let's put ourselves in position so we could brag on ourselves and brag on our family and friends and people within our circle. All right. Somebody asked, can you explain more about your program for making a 6-figure? Yeah, so essentially, we offer different affiliate programs, different franchise opportunities, and just showing people how to build a credit repair business utilizing systems. See, a lot of us, when we go in business, we're trying to reinvent the wheel. See, the reason franchises usually work when you follow the system is because they have a system. And again, I always say system stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. That's why you can have a 17-year-old kid running McDonald's because they know the French fries on the right, McFlurry's on the left, or vice versa, whichever one. But that's their system. So we've put together a system that I've worked on over the past 10 years. And I did a live a couple days ago, even just showing my process. I mean, these are proven methods that we've been able to do. And so that's pretty much what it's about when we show you how to build your business in this industry. When are you doing funding in the islands? Some of the islands we actually can. So reach out to us and let us know where you at. A scenario, a drop in 100 points on a credit score to dismiss $16K in student loan debt at 11% interest. Good or bad? 100 points. Depends on what your end goal is. I look at everything as what is your end goal? What's the best way to utilize easy funding when investing in rental and rehab properties and building a portfolio? It really depends. I always tell people that first you need to know what your end goal is in real estate, meaning I get people to come to me all the time and say, hey, I want to do real estate. I want to do fix and flip. I want to do buy and hold and wholesale. You need to find one strategy and perfect each one at a time, because each one is different. And your funding can be used in each one of those strategies separately. And then figuring out what's your exit strategy. So that would take well more than, the next 30 minutes for me to unpack all of that. But, your funding can definitely be used in any one of those capacities. Hello, we had let's see, that was from Linda. Right, brag about investing in TREF. Absolutely. Again, everybody who invested in TREF, you're a partner in owning a 30,000 square foot facility in East Point, Georgia. Brag about that. Absolutely, because the 10,000 people that own a medical facility down in your local community, all of the board advisors who put their money up for that building, that's how they brag. So we need to start bragging different, like Hov said. Do a live chat about those topics. You're going to have to explain to me which topics, family. Would like to know how to file my LLC, but separate from my personal name assets, a true LLC. Jeremy Creed, you're going to have to unpack that a little bit more. One of the ways to do that is to get a trust. So get with your attorney and create a trust. Is it a good idea to add a new credit line if I'm going through credit repair? Depends on how you're getting that credit line. If you are going to pay for an authorized user, but you're at the beginning stage of credit repair, I don't recommend getting a trade line. Because let's say the trade line is only going to stay on 30 days, but your credit repair process is going to take 6 months. You're going to have to pay that money again before, at the end of the process. So again, this is why I always ask people, what's your end goal when it comes to credit repair? Because I want them to have methods that are truly going to work and that are going to be and that are going to last. I don't want someone who is looking for a temporary fix. I'm going to say, okay, this is what your end goal is. Perfect. This is what we're going to do to execute that. So it really just depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish. What exactly is PG funding? PG stands for personal guarantor. That means you have to use your social security number in order for the banks to approve you. And every single bank usually is going to ask you for your personal guarantors. All right. I'm stuck between wanting to invest in real estate and stocks, or be patient and clean up some more debt and be patient till my score gets over 700. Your suggestion? I would say that, first of all, you can do all of those. That's the thing about when you are a business owner. You don't have to just pick one lane, but understand you want to be proficient so that way you have a strategy to invest in all of those areas. And understand, don't say I want my score to be a certain number in order to start doing something, because banks don't look at the score. It's about the profile. So understanding what your profile needs to look like in order for you to make some moves is more important. Is there a difference between a normal tax preparer and a tax strategist when it comes to your real estate business? Absolutely. Meaning that if you go to like the big box tax preparers, definitely no shade. Most of the time, some of them are only trained to prepare tax returns just for individuals. They really aren't as proficient because they don't train them on that, and that's not who their target audience is, to be able to do the K1s and the Schedule E's and the more complex 1099s and the 1165s for the LLC partnerships and all of that. So definitely invest in a tax strategist. If you have a business, and shout out to Brian out there in Atlanta, Rich Boy Investments, who is someone who I recommend for some clients for their tax strategists, because you have to understand, like, depending on the industry you're in, there are certain tax codes on deductions that you qualify for. And so by not taking advantage of that, you're, giving, the government more money than they should be getting, or you're not getting your tax returns prepared properly. So when you are becoming an investor, you don't have the tax returns to qualify for some of the products you need in order to recoup or refinance your property. So these are the things that we need to consider. That's why you want to have a tax strategist as opposed to just a tax preparer. Had a recent bankruptcy and only had negative marks now. Good stuff. Basic tax training returns. CPAs are good also. Yes, CPAs, tax strategists. A person does not have to be a CPA though. So I do definitely want to say that. How do you approach an investor for a rehab property? Good question. The first thing I would say is, why would I invest in you? You know, if I'm an investor and you come to me with a scenario, why would I invest in you? You know, have you done the numbers? You know, do the numbers make sense? Are you surrounding yourself with individuals who are in the pool of investors who put their money up for properties? You know, so it's really just about, what are you doing to be prepared for somebody to invest into your project? You know, we just had a deal submitted to us by, you know, a very good king who's been supporting us from day one, but he came at us correctly, had the numbers, and we could see he's actually been in the trenches. And so when things are presented properly and he's taken seriously because he's presenting himself as an investor, you can go, he has the website, his social media match who he say he is. So, I mean, all of those things actually matter, and that's why perception is so important. Forex and currency trading. That's something that I'm actually learning myself. I always tell people that, Brian Richboy Investments, good friend of mine. Always just tell people that when it comes to investing, you want to find your niche and what you're proficient at. And, excuse me, and also understand, if it's something that I want to be more proficient at, I'm going to go and meet with or sit down with or investing training, because I want to make sure that I'm making the best decision. And then also to understand that every business that you invest to make money in, you don't have to wear that cap, you know, meaning sometimes the easiest money to make is the money you don't have to work for. So sometimes it could be wise to put money into a vehicle that's already performing, and you just get a dividend off of that. And I think so many times that, you know, we feel we always have to quarterback or run a point guard on everything, that we leave a lot of money on the table in a lot of different situations. So that's also something for us to look at. Is it better to wait for my LLC or go? Get your LLC. Definitely, it's nothing you have to sit and wait for. Once you have an LLC, it's just, seasoning, as I call it. And I tell everybody, if you work a W-2 or have a 9-to-5 W-2 income, you should have an LLC anyway, just for the tax breaks. I mean, tax breaks are set up for business owners. All right. Is it okay for one LLC to fund another? Yes, you can. You can definitely do that, meaning LLC A can loan money to LLC 2. Again, that's why you got to have a good tax strategist. All right. Does 90K in student loans affect the amount I would be eligible for funding? They are consolidated and payments are on time. As long as the payments on time, no, it doesn't. It could be looked at based upon your DTI, but the thing to keep in mind is that when we take you for funding, we use household income and you can use stated income. So those are some things that you can do to help you with showing the income and minimizing your DTI. All right. Besides grinding it out and waiting patiently, any ways to get utilization down? Go make some more money. Lower your expenses. Meaning, sometimes we just have to create other streams of revenue. How do we do that? One, if you're paying for television, cut the television off. Get rid of cable, get rid of satellite. If we want a drastic change in our income, we have to do a drastic change in our sacrifices. So, what is an individual willing to do? Secondly, if I have a vehicle and I have free time and I'm trying to make more money to pay my utilization down, I'm going to go Uber if I have to. Or, Postmates, whatever I have to do. again, we have to understand that sometimes we have to make drastic sacrifices. I can remember that, I've seen people go and sell things out of their house, have a rummage sale if people still do that. Now, most people, of course, just post it on the internet, whatever. But we have to lower our expenses and try to bring in an additional income and, thinking outside the box, too. So as far as depending on what your utilization look like, you can go and do an installment loan to pay your utilization down, which I only recommend someone doing that when they're ready to move forward to do some funding, because you are just moving debt around. But when you have a strategy in place, that's never a bad thing when you have a strategy with plan of execution. See, a lot of times some of us do these methods and we don't do anything with it, and then we get jammed and stuck in these fees. But we have to understand that's why it's important to know what you're going to do or have some type of strategy on the back end of that. What's the best way to go about getting a business license? You just contact your local county or city, depends, and get your business license. Most places you can do that right online. What level of income do you look for with newly entrepreneurs? I look at opportunities. And also too, and I can assure you that some of my other investors who are on here, who invest in individuals and businesses. Shout out to King Beyond Win out of Cleveland, which I know he's very adamant about this. But I also deal with people's energy. You can bring me the deal of a lifetime, but if our energies and our wavelengths are off, I don't do it. So, there's several different components that go into that. I have a pressure washing business. Pat Jr. 55. All right. So hopefully you're going through funding. If you have a pressure washer business, you should have funding. Imagine being able to buy more equipment. If you are dealing with B2B, I understand that game. When you're dealing B2B, you're on net 30s. Sometimes those companies don't pay you for 30, 60, 90 days. Well, what do you do when you got to buy new supplies and they just net 90 you? Having access to capital to be able to get your supplies while you're waiting on it to recoup. So I'm telling you, it's no business that I can say that cannot use this funding or capital. I've had everybody from attorneys use our funding to be able to pay for their marketing. Did you know one of the top reasons most businesses fail is marketing? And we have to stop trying to cut corners and think just because you're popular, people going to do business with you. I've already shared, most people that know you will never spend a dime with you. So what are you going to do to separate yourself from the 55 restaurants that's on the same block that you're on? If you're not marketing, nobody's going to even know you're there. What do you do when, you are an attorney and it's 55 law offices on the same block? Come to Vegas and you'll definitely see that. Again, Marketing is key, and that's another thing why you need to have access to funding just for the marketing alone, because marketing can be expensive, but it's necessary. Out of sight, out of mind. All right. Do you believe in Fingerhut, Jewelry Club, and New Coast? Absolutely, especially for somebody who has a thin credit file. All right. Just need you to tell these folks to stay focused and strategize. Absolutely. We just got to stay focused and stay strategized. How much money will I get when I go through easy funding? I'm not sure. It depends on your file, family. I've been having all my friends do this as well. Trusting that gut feeling. Absolutely. So I can be a W-2 employee and get an LLC and get tax breaks. Sounds like a plan. Absolutely. That's why you want to have a good tax strategist. I have a 720 credit score. Can I purchase a home without a W-2 or tax returns? Not through a traditional bank, but there may be some banks that can. There may be some banks that will finance you, but you got to call that bank. You got to find it. Now, which kind of brings you to another topic of just the process. When people are looking for banks to fund, whether it's refinance and different things like that, understand every bank is created differently. And let's stop getting defeated after one bank turned us down. oh man, this don't work, this is hard. Look, if it takes you 40 phone calls to call 40 banks, then that's the sweat equity I'm willing to put in, because I know what's at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to be able to get my money back from this property I purchased. So again, we just need to have more. We just have to be so resilient when it comes to business that it's nothing that can deflate you when you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish. You have to be willing to, like there was a study done that said that what would you be willing to do if you are on a burning building, if you're on a building and you have a loved one or a child inside of a burning building that was, 5 feet away on the top of a roof? Would you jump across, or would you make an attempt to jump across to try to save your loved one or your child? That's the type of resilientness we need to have in business. It's nothing that nobody should be able to tell you to knock you off your square when you are trying to hit a goal for your business. I'm just telling you. And I just believe that we just have to have a no retreat type of attitude or mindset. I have a web design company. Should I change name to get a doc? Not sure what that means. SIC. All right. Can you explain that a little bit more? If you have no credit profile, about how long would it take for funding? Depends. We've been able to have people go through the process in about 90 to 120 days, depending on how blank their file is. All right. Do you recommend tax? Namdi, I'm not sure what you mean by that. When is the best time to ask for credit line increase? Anytime, right away. Usually most bank cards every 90 days. I bought 2 houses in low comp areas, and the banks are giving me a hard time with giving me a loan on them. Do I get rid of them or do I hold them? It depends. If you're making money off the properties, you want to keep them. Again, that's why you want to know what your rate of return is, your cash on cash return every single month. I'm not sure how you purchase the properties. I'm not sure if you're making any money off of them. So, it really just depends. All those things matter. When you dispute inquiries, does it take away all the positive history for that account? When you don't know what you're doing, they could close the account, which is why I say never dispute your inquiries with the original creditor. How much is easy funding? You can go to useeasyfunding.com to get all that information. That's useeasyfunding.com. All right. Anyone you could recommend to help me create a trust? Should a trust only be created once a fair amount of asset properties? No, you don't have to have a bunch of things in order to create a trust. I don't know where you're at. It's not anybody that I would say, hey, this one person to do a trust for you. But I would, probably check with one of your local law offices and definitely shop around. But it's not just one particular person that I recommend. Maybe I should get someone like that within our wheelhouse of resources. Do you have any recommendations, Tax Strategist? Absolutely. Namdi, send me a message. I'm going to connect you with King Brian out there in Atlanta. Rich Boy Investments. Do easy funding guarantee funding if your credit is in order? No. I never tell people we can guarantee them something except death and taxes. That's about it. I'm a member already for funding. What's the next move? One credit up. We want to look at your profile, see where you're at, and make sure everything is in position. And that will increase your chances to make sure we can get you some capital. But without looking at your file, I wouldn't know what island your funding works in. We haven't had many people outside of the U.S. applying for funding, so I'm not sure what island it will work in. SIC code when apply for a loan. I don't know what your SIC code is and what business is for. Again, I did a FICO Friday about SIC codes. I just tell people, just Google, whatever industry you're in, and then you can Google if it's a high-risk industry. If it's a high-risk industry, find another industry, to put your business in. But, Usually the top most high risk industries are real estate, investments, credit repair, and finance. Usually anything below that is kind of sub, and then of course you have low risk. But any business I make, I always put it under education or business management, marketing or consulting, period. I don't care what I'm doing. I could be a car wash. I'm going to be a consulting business because guess what? I'm consulting people on what products they should not put on their vehicle after they leave my car wash. So I'm a consultant. Again, you got to think outside the box. So I don't care what type of business I'm doing. I'm going to be a consultant. Do you have recording of past FICO Fridays? Yes. Go to my YouTube, The Man in Between, at Mr. Will Roundtree on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe. Is this funding used to invest in real estate? Miss 700 Credit Club. You can use the funding to invest in everything. I literally had a client who just used their funding to go and buy some farming machines to be able to invest in crypto, or that makes the currency, the currency for the crypto space. So, I mean, you can use it for whatever. How often should we ask for credit line increases from the banks? Just like I told somebody else, you can ask as often as you like. Most banks want you to do it every 90 days or won't let you do it within 90 days. How do I get someone to review my credit profile to help dispute closed accounts? Well, you want to reach out to a credit specialist. You can reach out to us here. jmorrisonacademy.com. Call the office 844-JOIN-JMA and reach out to one of our specialists so they can review it. Will this video be available for replay? Just tuning in now. My videographer, I'm on the road, so I'm not able to record this to put on YouTube, but hopefully it will be on my phone to where I can transfer it to YouTube. So hopefully, if I'm unemployed, can I still get easy funding? Yes, you can. We have been able to help people who are not currently employed through an employer, but there's ways because you are self-employed if you have your own business. But, you know, it's all about the strategy. What is a credit? What is a Harlem Strong? I do not understand what you type. Can you retype that? We got about 3 minutes left. What is the best way to begin getting business credit after getting your DUNS number? Signing up for easy funding or reaching out to us here at JMA 1844-JOIN-JMA. All right, last question. Does sending multiple rounds of dispute letters to the various credit companies really push them to remove? No, it's about what information are you putting in there. See, if a lot of times when if we're getting, you know, just a bunch of canned letters off the internet, you know, the credit bureaus with the eOscar software, when they recognize it's just a letter they've gotten a million times, they're just going to flag that account, which is why I always tell people you want to get customized letters, or you want to customize your letter, change up the verbiage, or, you know, whatever you got to do, so that way it doesn't get flagged by the eOscar software. So I'm getting the countdown on Instagram. I appreciate everybody hopping on today. Again, every single Friday. Next week we will not have FICO Friday, so I just want to let everybody know this week, next week there will not be a FICO Friday. Everybody who is in easy funding, we do have a monthly easy funding mentorship call, so make sure you are on there. You get more of this information. If you are not in easy funding, you're doing yourself a disservice. Go to useeasyfunding.com to register. Also, if you are in the in the Atlanta area, make sure that you go and enroll too. If there's even any seats available, my brother King J will be hosting this class. How to, with multiple strategies and how to invest in real estate. Trust me, you definitely want to be registered. I mean, he was one of my personal mentors who pretty much everything I learned in real estate was from, King J. So I'm always grateful and thankful. And I am an original Academy student member. I started out and been rocking out, and that's where I learned to hone my skills. So make sure that you go and lock in and get registered for that class for tomorrow. So I appreciate everybody for hopping on. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you go and subscribe, YouTube. Make sure you guys are liking the J. Morrison Academy page, Mr. Will Roundtree. Let's get 10 friends to share this with 20 friends, and let's keep this information going. Let's keep this energy going. Let's help this information go viral and really go out here and create a culture within, the sphere of excellence and building money, building wealth, and building up our communities. So, all right, family, I'll talk to y'all in 2 weeks. Peace.